So today we're going to be looking at opera mate. So last week we looked at Morphy's mate, and you had to figure out how you could do Morphy's mate. It's black to play, and if you haven't already, you can try now and figure out how black can do Morphy's mate on white. The answer is bishop to c6, checkmate. The queen is controlling g2 and g1, so the king can't move to those squares. The king can't move to h2 because it's occupied by the h2 pawn. And the bishop on c6 is checking the h1 king. There's nothing to block the check or capture the bishop. So this is officially checkmate. So opera mate is a mate that involves a bishop and a rook, and a piece other than a knight to occupy the square that neither the bishop or rook covers. The rook is a checkmating piece in opera's mate. The king that gets checkmated on the side gets checkmated on the side. The rook directly checks the king with no space in between them, meaning no squares in between them, and that covers 3 of the squares that the king can move to. The bishop covers 2 of the squares, which defending the rook so the king can't capture the rook, and controlling the square in front of the king, which is directly diagonal to the rook. The piece on the checkmated side occupies the remaining square. Most commonly, this is a pawn, but it can also be a bishop, a rook, a queen. But it can't be a knight because then he could capture the rook. So this definition can be confusing. So you can see the example and then come back to this definition. So here's our example position. It's white doing opera's mate on black, and as you can see, the rook is directly checking the king with no squares in between, controlling 3 of the squares. The check, which is e8 in this case, also controlling f8 and d7. The 2 squares that the bishop on g5 are controlling are the d8, so that the king can't capture the rook, and also e7, because no other piece is really controlling the square. The final piece, the f7 pawn, is occupying that final square that neither the rook or bishop are controlling, so this is officially checkmate. A bit more of a complicated position. We have black to play and do opera's mate. Can you figure it out in 30 seconds? It's fine if you can't. All you have to do is pause the video and take as much time as you need to figure it out. Your time starts now. Time is up, but you can always pause the video if you need more time. So, the answer is rook into d1, checkmate. The rook is directly checking the king, and the 3 squares that it is controlling are the check, meaning e1. Also, it's controlling f1 and d2. So the king can't move to any of those squares or stay in the same space it is. If it could stay in the same space, it would be a stalemate, but it's a checkmate. So he can't stay in the same space. The bishop is defending the rook, so the king can't capture it, and also controlling e2, so the king can't go there either. As well as that, the f2 pawn is occupying the f2 square, so the king can't move there. There's nothing that can capture the rook, so this is officially checkmate. This position is also black to play, and you have 30 seconds to solve this puzzle. You can always pause the video if you need more time, but here's the timer. Time is up. If you need more time, you can pause the video right now, but the answer was rook to f1 checkmate. This is checkmate because the king is in check thanks to the f1 rook. The king can't move to f2 or d1 because the f1 rook controls both those squares. The king can't move to e2 or capture the f1 rook because the bishop on d3 controls both those squares. And the king can't move to d2 because the bishop on d2 is a white bishop and the white king can't move on top of a white bishop. Therefore, this is checkmate. Our next position is white to play and white to checkmate. If you need more time, you can pause the video, but your 30 seconds starts now. Time is up. If you need more time, you can pause the video right now, but the answer is rook to a8. Checkmate. This is checkmate because the rook on a8 is checking the b8 king. The king can't move to a7 because the rook on a8 controls that square. The king can't move to b7 or capture the a8 rook because of the d2 bishop. And the king can't move to c7 or c8 because both those squares are occupied by black pieces. Therefore, this is checkmate. The next puzzle is your turn. So, it's white to play and white to checkmate. The answer will be in next week's video. And until then, have a great time. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any feedback, you can post it in the comments or in the form of the description of all videos. The form is completely anonymous, so I won't know who filled it out. Please hit that like button and subscribe for more videos like this one because it takes a lot of time and effort to make these videos. You can visit chess playlist to see all the chess videos. Thanks for watching and goodbye.